Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Three weeks from today. 3 weeks from today. 3 weeks from today, the NFL draft gets underway. First round of the draft, I cannot be more fired up. Saints have 2 picks in round 1. We will see local players like Derek Stingley hear his name called early in the draft, no doubt. There is going to be so much intrigue with what the Saints do with the 16th and 19th picks in this year's draft. 2 picks in the top 20. The Saints are clearly in need of several spots on this roster, supplementing at left tackle, at wide receiver, very likely at safety, perhaps a starting defensive lineman. A lot of options for New Orleans that they could use those 2 picks to supplement. Or potentially, we've talked about taking a quarterback with one of those picks or packaging those 2 to move up and take up a quarterback if there is one they covet in this draft. The thing we haven't really considered much is where the Saints might take a quarterback if it's outside of round 1. And I think the reason's pretty obvious. Saints drafted a project quarterback last year in Ian Book. So why would they do that again this year? ESPN has 2 draft analysts, Jordan Reed and Matt Miller, that have joined the draft staff along with Mel and Todd. And they had an interesting project that they published today, which was projecting every quarterback taken in the draft. Not just a first-round mock, where every quarterback will go in this draft round 1 through 7. So from who they think will be the first quarterback off the board, hint, they both think that it will be Malik Willis as the first quarterback off the board, not Kenny Pickett. To who might be the late round picks that could come off the board in round 7. Cole Kelly from Southeastern. They're from Lafayette Christian, who started his career at, I'm sorry, not at Lafayette Christian. He was from the Lafayette area. But went to Arkansas and then found his way to Southeastern and had a nice career there for the Lions. Shout out, Paulie. But both Reed and Miller have the Saints taking a quarterback. And neither has the Saints taking a quarterback in round 1. And this is where it got a little interesting for me, because I think the Saints have some significant needs in this draft, and they are positioned with 3 picks in the top 50 to address them. And it also happens to be a year where I'm not bullish on any of these quarterbacks. It's not a year where you have a Burrow or a Trevor Lawrence or go back to a Cam Newton or whoever you think is that guy that's a no-doubt number 1 overall pick in the draft, that everybody, if they had that pick, that's the guy they're taking. That guy isn't in this draft, or guys aren't in this draft. There's a lot of conversation about who might even be worthy of a first-round draft pick, which is why I'm not really excited about the prospects of the Saints using a first-round pick on a quarterback in this year's draft. If you're not bullish on that player, don't do it. You've got a quarterback that you're committed to financially for at least 2 years. You have time to make that decision about the future of the quarterback position. It doesn't have to be right now. But the first projection it was from Jordan Reed, does have the Saints taking a quarterback in round 2 with the 49th overall pick, and he projects the Saints to take Sam Howell out of North Carolina. And he writes he's gone back and forth on his evaluation of Howell more than any other quarterback in the class. Had a promising 2020, obviously, set up huge expectations for this year, and it just didn't go well for Sam Howell in 2021, and we've seen his draft stock fall. Do you remember if we went back and look at way too early mock drafts, like post draft a year ago or beginning of this college football season, there were 2 players that everyone had at the top of their mock drafts. And it was Sam Howell and Spencer Rattler. It was like, which one of these quarterbacks is going to be the first overall pick? Let me remind you how the season went for Sam Howell and Spencer Rattler. Sam Howell saw his yardage, completion percentage, quarterback rating, touchdowns all decrease this year. And Spencer Rattler got benched and then transferred. He's now at South Carolina. This has a Matt Barkley feel to it. If Matt Barkley had come out from Southern Cal after his junior year, dude would have been the number 1 pick in the draft. Went back to Southern Cal, didn't have a great year, became a mid-round pick, and now he's just sort of bounced around the league. He had an opportunity to make money, passed on it, and it cost him in every way that you can. So the idea of taking Sam Howell at 49 is appealing. A guy that at his best could be a really good prospect, and there's far less risk taking him at 49. But a guy that's 6'1", 220 pounds, who's when he kind of became the target, he's actually listed just under 6'1". He saw all of his numbers drop. That's not very appealing. Matt Miller also has the Saints taking a quarterback, but not in round 1 and not in round 2. He has the Saints taking a quarterback in round 3, and it's Carson Strong out of Nevada. He writes, taking a late 3rd round flyer on a quarterback is smart drafting. Strong has experience and passing traits the teams love. Previous knee injury makes his evaluation difficult. He has the arm talent to become an NFL starter if he can remain healthy. Saints' downfield game would benefit, especially if they can add another receiver with one of their first 2 round picks. I like Carson Strong. I'm not telling you that I'm bullish on Carson Strong and that I think Carson Strong is ultimately going to be an all-pro caliber quarterback, a guy that could lead the Saints or some team to a championship. I don't know that. I don't know if I'd go there. But in the way that Sam Howell is descending, right, that he regressed this year, Carson Strong has ascended over 4 years in college. Didn't play in 2018. 2019 threw for 2,300 yards and 2,800 yards, and this year almost 4,200 yards. His completion percentage went from 63% to 70% each of the last 2 years on the number. His touchdowns went from 11 to 27 to 36. His quarterback rating went from 121 to 160 to 158.6, so basically steady there as well. That's a guy that continued to grow and progress and ascend. And oh, by the way, he's 6'4", 215, and has the big arm. As a prospect, I like Carson Strong. But are you really going to find your franchise in round 3? You know what the Saints have found in round 3? Alvin Kamara, Trey Hendrickson, Jimmy Graham, Alex Anzalone, Teron Armstead. They found not only starters, but they found all pros in round 3. You know where they found Garrett Grayson, quarterback they took out of Colorado State? Round 3. That didn't work out so great. I mean, there are examples of Russell Wilson in round 3 or Dak in round 4 where you not only get a starter, but an all-pro level quarterback in the middle rounds. There are examples. They're just few and far between. The best quarterbacks in the league, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Burrow, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Mac Jones, all first-round picks. Even the older Aaron Rodgers, Matt Stafford, Matt Ryan, all first-round picks. I mean, the exception is Tom Brady. The exception is Russ in round 3. The exception is Dak in round 4. The rule is you're going to find an elite quarterback at the top half of round 1. That's what we find more often. So could Carson Strong be that guy? I'll tell you this. I'd be more bullish on Carson Strong as an NFL quarterback than I am on Sam Howell. So I'd much rather Carson Strong in round 3 than Sam Howell in round 2. But honestly, I'm not okay with any of them. If it's me. You took a flyer on a quarterback last year in round 4, in Ian Book. And there's no way you're keeping 4 quarterbacks on your roster. You're not going to keep Jameis and Andy Dalton and Ian Book and whoever you signed this year. It was a stretch last year to keep 3 on your active roster. There's no way in heck you're keeping 4. So are you punting on Ian Book? Is the Ian Book era over as a potential player on this team? Because that's essentially what you're saying if you take a flyer on another guy this year. Eventually, the Saints are going to have to be pot committed to somebody. Maybe it's Jameis. Maybe it's a draft pick. It doesn't feel like it's in this draft. It's probably going to be in next year's draft, depending on how Jameis does it. Or maybe Jameis has a 5,000-yard season and you sign him to a 5-year deal and you don't worry about quarterback for the next half decade. But for me, it's wasted draft capital if you take a flyer on another quarterback in a mid-round this year. But we will start to get those answers 3 weeks from today. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.